Hey leaders, what's up? It's Brad. As we talk more and more about making disciples who can make disciples who can make disciples, what we need to look at is what it takes to create this environment where a disciple-making culture can happen. And so what we have to do is we got to take a look at what Jesus did. And Jesus, who was the absolute perfect disciple maker, had a calibration of two things: invitation and challenge. An invitation into a relationship with him, and a challenge to grow. A challenge to grow, to represent him, to be his messengers to a world that was really dying to hear the truth and the way that he lived and the story of his life. So invitation and challenge. But Jesus understood one thing when it came to these two things, and that is that you have to take like a farmer's mentality as opposed to a factory worker's mentality to this. These two things, invitation to a relationship and a challenge to grow, need to be cultivated over time. This is not anything that's going to happen overnight, simply because relationships we can't manufacture life. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of effort, and so that's one of those things that I think if there's one key to any of this disciple-making stuff, it's that it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process. It's going to take some time. But if you look at it from a farmer's mentality, you have to look at, well, what's our soil look like? What's the environment look like? What's the culture look like that we're getting ready to sow this seed, right? To plant this seed and hopefully have some sort of a crop, some sort of a harvest. And that's what I want to look at today. When you look at invitation and challenge, when it comes to it from a cultural perspective, you have high invitation, low challenge, and high challenge. In each one of these quadrants exists a culture. In a high invitation but low challenge, so you've got a high relational but not a lot of push to grow. This culture is where a lot of us will find ourselves. It's really cozy, right? So you've got a lot of relationship, but not a lot of challenge, not a lot of push to grow, not a lot of development or anything like that, right? So that's a cozy culture. That's going to be cozy soil, right? Again, looking at this as something that has the potential to be cultivated. A low challenge, low invitation, so not a lot of challenge, not a lot of relationship, not a lot of growth, not a lot of invitation into this relationship, whether it's student to leader or student. This is going to be bored. I mean, obviously that doesn't sound very fun. So that's going to be a bored culture. Now, flip it over here. A high challenge but low invitation environment is probably what a lot of us feel when it comes to maybe even our workplaces or something like that, where you feel pressure to perform, you feel pushed, you've got to deliver, you've got to have a certain product out, you've got to have a certain deadlines have to be met, so on and so forth. But you know what? There's not a lot of invitation. There's not a lot of walking. There's not a lot of hand in hand. There's not a lot of I'll help you. Right? This is a stressed culture. And again, I think a lot of our students feel this. You think about it from even a school perspective. I got to get this project done. I got to get this homework done. And very rarely do we have solid relationships with a lot of our teachers or our professors. It really is kind of based on performance, right? So this is a stressed culture. But this high invitation, high challenge, so you've got a high invitation into a relationship and a high challenge, a push to grow. This is where this is a discipling culture. This right here is where this is the soil that, if we're again thinking of it from a farming perspective, if we're trying to till up soil and create soil to create an environment where disciple makers who can make disciples, who can make disciples, who can make disciples can take place, it's going to be in this high invitation, a high call into a relationship, and a high push, right? A challenge to grow. We think about our circle from last week. You remember our circle? Right? There were two halves to this circle. One was information and one was action. Again, this information piece, you could look at it as this is invitation into a conversation, right? And then there's challenge. Challenge to grow, challenge to learn from what we've experienced. Again, seeing God break through our everyday moments and our everyday lives, inviting our group into a conversation about that, and then challenging ourselves to do something with that. And you see this time and time and time and time again in Jesus' life and the way that he worked with his disciples. I mean, you'd see it when he said, come and see, right? It was an invitation to come to him and see something that was going to change your life forever. Or come and follow me. It was, again, the invitation to come into a relationship with him, to join him in that relationship, but follow me. And by following me, it's going to change your life. Or come and I'll make you. Again, come into this relationship with me and I'm going to make you fishers of men, right? I'm going to do something different. You're going to cast your nets in a totally different way that's going to shake the foundations of the way you've seen life, the way you see people, the way that you approach every day. And then eventually Jesus says, come and die. Come to me and die to yourself. That's the ultimate challenge. The ultimate challenge is to take up your cross daily and follow me. So again, I just wanted to point this out here, to put this out here again as a way for us to take a look at the culture that exists maybe in our C groups on a Wednesday night or in our homes on a Wednesday night or a Sunday night, to say, where are we? It's okay to be in this cozy place. That's not a bad place to be. We want students to feel safe. We want students to feel like they belong, like they can come into our homes and they can come into our C groups and it's a place of high relationship. But at some point, we have to start challenging to grow. We have to begin to move this direction. Obviously, a place of low challenge or low invitation, that's not a real good place to be. We want that's a place where a student doesn't feel any connection. Also, there's no push. Obviously, if a student feels bored, they're going to disconnect, right? They're not going to plug in. They're not going to engage because they don't want to be bored. They have to be engaged, right? A stressed culture, again, that's one of those things we look at to go, are we pushing our students too hard here? Is this too soon? Is it too much? If so, maybe we need to bring this invitation up. Maybe we need to make sure that our students are able to have fun just for the sake of having fun, because that's who they are. They're kids. They like to have fun. So, just wanted to throw that out there so we can kind of begin to think about, what's the soil? What kind of soil, what kind of environment are we cultivating in our C groups? And again, what we want to do is we want to move to this, but understanding that it's a process. It takes time. It may take years even to move our students, to move even ourselves as leaders into this place where we are understanding what invitation and challenge looks like. An invitation into a relationship and a challenge to grow. Come and see. Come and do. Come and follow. Come and I'll make you. So that's it. I wanted to put that in the toolbox for you today. Don't forget about our all hands on deck leaders training on December 4th from 12:30 to 2 o'clock in the block. Please be there. Please make sure that's on your calendars. You won't want to miss it. We're going to be looking at the story, which is what we're going to be starting, the curriculum that we're going to be using, and basically the path that we're going to be following as a whole church for the foreseeable future, for the next year or so. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about some really, really, really exciting things coming down the pike for leaders. So thanks.